Toyota Trucks presents EA Sports Supercross from Pontiac. It's continuing to be a fierce battle as Jeremy McGrath cannot afford a mistake the way Kevin Windham is riding behind him.
You know, right now, Kevin's just out there just waiting for the laps to wind down, waiting for the place to make his moves, studying everything McGrath's doing. Later in the race, lapped riders will be able to perhaps work to the advantage of Kevin because he'll be able to see the whole situation where Jeremy's going to have to commit. So I don't think Kevin, with the nerves that he's talked about that have kept him from riding his best, are a problem right now. He can stay with McGrath right here, apparently with apparent ease.
Last time here in Pontiac, he crashed to 14th and came back to 5th.
That's right. So, and as a matter of fact, that was the first race in about 4 or 5 where he did actually make progress towards the end of the race. Even though the finish wasn't impressive, at least he was passing riders and riding fast towards the end. Watch when they come out of this corner and triple up over this mountain. It's just phenomenal. They're jumping through the ruts all the way up over that, landing into more ruts. The technical skill of these guys is just off the scale.
Jeremy McGrath so far has not made that crucial mistake. And even Jeremy is human. We've seen that happen from time to time, but not very often.
Well, whenever I see this, I think back to Tampa when Jeremy had the lead and Kevin just stayed back there and wore on him, finally made the move. Jeremy can be beat. Kevin knows it. He's just got to stay close. If he makes a mistake and loses contact, that's what Jeremy's hoping for, then he just has no chance.
Well, one thing about Jeremy McGrath's domination of the past is he's been able to get a lead in that first 8 laps and not be pressured after that. This is not the case here in Pontiac.
No, we're approaching lap 10, the halfway point, and Kevin is very much in this battle, forcing Jeremy to worry about what line he's taking. Jeremy just shifted his line there because that's where Kevin was going. He's got to stay in contact, though. Jeremy's patient. He knows that you just can't pull away from a guy like Kevin Windham. He has to be patient, knowing he can just inch away, and he just did there a moment ago. If Kevin can close that gap, we got a race.
If you just tuned in and said, hey, he said Pontiac, they're not going up into the stands? A lot of the riders said the same thing. It doesn't feel like Pontiac because in recent years, of course, we've had the turnstile up and around into the stands here at Pontiac at the Silver Dome. But with 2 rounds here this year, they've changed the construction of the track, the over-under, the sand whoops. And Jeremy McGrath now is starting to build a lead on Kevin Windham.
It's that patience I was talking about. Kevin was trying to keep the pressure on, and it was working, but I talked about it. He couldn't afford a mistake. He made a couple. Lapped riders, made a bad decision. Jeremy opened up the gap, and it's just widening out even more now. Jeremy knows that he's not going to make a mistake. He was just banking on Kevin getting tired, making some, and he just made another one right there. Jeremy stretched it out even more.
Now, the big one was a mistake on the triple two for Kevin Windham, and it gave McGrath some breathing room where he had only about 0.2 of a second per lap on Kevin Windham. Now he's starting to stretch it out. And the brilliance of the 6-time champion and defending champ of 250 Supercross is starting to shine right now.
And if Kevin is starting to fade slightly, he cannot afford to fade much more because LaRocco's back there, Villeman is back there. Those guys get stronger in the last 5 laps.
Jeremy McGrath, another stellar year for this man. 7 wins with 5 races left. Well, less than that now, of course. But a remarkable 10 podiums. 4th place was Jeremy's worst finish this year.
Look at the airtime those guys get, and good thing. Look at those ruts they're jumping over. Jeremy and a lot of these guys, the guys with that great finesse, guys like Kevin, they try to time, as soon as these ruts get into the face of some of these jumps, they try to change their timing and jump over those.
Jeremy's had his ups and downs here in Pontiac. 1997, he was leading the race and crashed. And then, of course, the famous triple clamp that broke in 98. And that was his first and only DNF in his Supercross history. So anything could still happen to Jeremy McGrath despite the confident move he shows us right here.
Kevin actually stayed even that last lap, if not picked up about 0.2 of a second. And they've got a clear track here for a while and don't have to deal with any lappers. So
David Villeman in 4th place behind LaRocco and Windham. And he'll lose some ground in the points race if he can't pick it up as he looks at the lapper Heath Voss. Back to our number 1. He's had his share of wins here, that's for sure.
Guarantee you McGrath was here. You could tell in McGrath's post-race interview last week that he was just irritated, and it didn't really come off well. It sounded like excuses, but he's not very used to losing. And I admire a guy that hates to lose to the point where you can sense it in his interview. But I guarantee he worked out hard, put in a lot of laps, and he's proven right now that he did his homework.
Well, on the upside, Jeremy, of course, led every lap here earlier in February for the win. In fact, it was his last hole shot before tonight.
Reaches over and tightens that clutch up a little bit. That's what he does. They start to get a little bit of play as that clutch heats up. He reaches over and turns that little dial that they've made that you can reach in the air and take the play back out.
Last year he won leading 20 laps, but the one I really respected was 94 when he went to the LCQ. And for the first time that I can remember, won a main event after winning a last chance qualifier. So can Jeremy McGrath continue to be flawless here in Pontiac #2?